All right, guys, welcome back. This is a bonus general message part 2. If you didn't see part 1 yet, you'll want to check that out first. The free link is right there in the description box. You can watch that and then bounce back over here. So we left it on a bit of a cliffhanger. This king, well, the high priestess is suddenly gaining confirmation that somebody is missing the heck out of her, knowing that they took the wrong turn, desperately wanting to live their own life, but they still seemed unwilling to make any of the changes that they needed to make. Okay, we are going to change and start with a fresh deck here, because with that energy of like, all of a sudden she knows it, they know it, everybody knows it, but they're still unwilling. And we ended, here was a cliffhanger, we ended with them still unwilling to make significant change, and yet we have the hierophant and we have the star, almost like the grace is there if they wish to listen to it, if they have the power, the courage to listen to their own higher self, to decide that I want to go toward my wish fulfillment, they could certainly do that. We have the Fool card, we have the Justice card. This person would have to take a leap of faith, and the only way that they're maybe ever going to get things to balance in their favor is if they have the courage to. I feel like this person has, things have been stacked unfavorably for them, but it was because they took the wrong road. They didn't listen to their heart. Tell me about the Justice card. Tell me about that Justice card. Maybe they even, I don't know if they did the High Priestess wrong somehow. As I say that, we literally got High Priestess. We have 7 of Wands and we have the Moon. They didn't tell a High Priestess about their obstacles that they had. I don't know what were their obstacles. The High Priestess knew that there was some reason that this person didn't choose her. She knew that, she just didn't know what it was. They wouldn't tell her. They might have been ashamed. You see how they're covering their face? What is this? What were their obstacles? And can we please just get a straightforward answer? Emperor. I mean, the Emperor can be, this is an Emperor who's like roaring, like unhappily. I mean, could they have been in a marriage already and they met her and then they said that was the person I was supposed to be with? 4 of Coins. They're still holding back. They're still holding back. You notice that twice we see somebody in business attire. Was this a business connection that they never explained? The High Priestess knew that something was wrong here. Maybe they owed a lot of money and they had to first like pay a lot of money, save up a lot of money to gain their freedom. And that was one of the things. I mean, they could have even needed to, like you see all the stack of books. Maybe they needed to get retrained in another industry so then they could make the money to then buy themselves out of some form of debt here. Why would they not have just said that, though? I don't know why. Ooh, that big scary. Who cares? Everybody has debt. I mean, isn't that just kind of like life? I'm not sure why that's a big scary. We got the Judgment sideways, and we got the Death and Rebirth card here. And I said, why did they keep it silent? Why did they hide that? It's like they kept thinking that either they wanted to rebuild themselves into a brand new person and then, come back in and say, I hope that you can forgive me that I had to take care of other things. Or they actually made a calculating decision, or were weighing a calculating decision to reconcile with someone that they had previously ended things with. Was there a question mark about whether or not this person was going to go ahead and go back to a person they had been previously married to? Was it a separation but not a formal legal divorce? And it was always like, we don't know what we're doing, we're not sure because there's all this money, there's this, there's that. I'm so tired of that storyline. I gotta be honest. I'm so tired of this. Let me instead simplify it. I don't really want to talk about that part anymore because it feels still pretty murky. We see that they held back. We see that there were obligations. We see that there was uncertainty of what they needed to do, were going to do. There's something here about possibly reviving a connection that was over. and they didn't want to admit that, which to me, this never mind, I'm not going to say Kate, sassy Kate was about to step on up and say all kinds of things that are very opinionated. But let me say, my kind of harsh opinions that I'm keeping to myself right now are based off of this Libra card. This says there is an injustice. And at this point, I'm going to say, I think that they dealt their high priestess the injustice. Maybe there was injustice that they were enduring as well, but they passed it on to her as well. And I'm going to say it was because of that. We saw that they hid things. That's not cool. That's not cool. You don't hide stuff. At least I don't think you can hide stuff. And then you can't hide stuff from a high priestess anyway. They're going to know that there's something holding you back. So they might have thought, I'm just not going to say this to the high priestess, which really just left the high priestess going, well, okay, so you're hiding stuff. That is going to lower somebody's trust or faith in a character. How did the high priestess look at that? Because the high priestess knew that there were things hidden. Obviously, she had to have known. Temperance. How did it impact the high priestess? They were just like, well, I honestly, it's not my secrets. So if you want to hold your secrets, I'm not going to let it impact me. Anyway, a high priestess always knows. They may not know what the answer is, but that high priestess is such a much better person than me, right? I'm all judgy over here. And the high priestess is just like, whatevs. All I can say is that I sense that they're not being straightforward with me about something. But will it rock my world? No. Everybody has a right to keep their stuff. If they choose not to, connect with me, involve me in their life, they have a right to do that. And the high priestess is absolutely right. Thank you, high priestess, for putting me in line, right? Love that. As a storyteller, I'm always like, let's get to the nitty gritty of the root of what happened. And the high priestess is like, it isn't my story. They're not my person. So they don't have to tell me everything. And I don't have to get upset over it. Okay, very cool. High priestess is not ruffled. So why then, what was the high priestess's connection to them? Maybe these two weren't even in a romance. Queen of Swords, Two of Coins. It was never, the high priestess always had boundaries and always said, well, I mean, if this person were going to really be with me, they'd have to not be of two minds. She had her own boundaries up, and she knew that they sat in between two places. This high priestess is so much more mature. Masculine or feminine doesn't matter. They're still coming across as somebody with incredibly calm and powerful boundaries. And they're just like, I don't deal with people that are sitting in between decision making. So they weren't mine, because I wouldn't have said yes to someone who was only bringing me question marks. They didn't know themselves yet. How could you expect somebody that doesn't know what's going on in their own life to then be able to make a decision that then I could trust them to make good decisions, in our union? So she never got herself tangled up. She kept her emotions pulled back. She saw maybe potential here, but she also saw the reality of there's a lot going on with this person that they're unsure of. I've seen the signs and signals. I don't doubt it. So I'm not putting my eggs in their basket. I don't know if they even have a basket. They don't know if they have a basket. They don't know if they want eggs. I think that that's kind of remarkable that this high priestess has been so it's been very obvious to her. And we've got a 7 of Pentacles. She's got other fish to fry. She's had a whole life that she's been developing. She's been developing her gifts, her skills. She has not been losing sleep over this one. She has been absolutely living her life, her best life, gaining more wisdom day by day, listening more and more to her own intuition. She's been growing her garden, growing her money, enhancing her gifts, her skills, growing her tree of life, having an abundant life. Well done, High Priestess. So at this point in time, again, the High Priestess is aware that they're wishing that they had chosen her, but they're still unwilling to make any changes. So where does that leave everything? Let's change decks. Let's go this route. Where does that leave this situation? Because right now, I kind of feel like this is a big nothing burger. Being aware that somebody wishes for something that they still don't have the courage to do. where does it leave everything? One person sits there, grumpy, arms crossed. And I think, if anything, I gotta say, the high priestess manifests her real power couple mate. She may have sent that person good vibes, but she's aware all of a sudden, I know that they wish that they had chosen me. I can feel it. I can feel their longing for this. I can feel it. But what we already saw with them in part one, where did it go? We saw the magician in the reverse in part one. Like, they know what they want, but they just don't have the courage to go after it still. And I said, what is the outcome here then? And it says, well, somebody sits there and keeps feeling like I missed my opportunity. And then we have a magician who is the magical power couple emperor to a high priestess. She's the empress. The high priestess is an empress in the magical sense. We've got a 4 of swords. We've got a 3 of pentacles. And you know what I think? I think that somehow, this is all still just happening in the 5D realm. I think somehow this high priestess is more or less saying energetically, I know, darling, I know that you chose wrong. I know you're really upset about that now. But the fact that you didn't choose me, and you still really aren't. You really can't seem to make yourself do it. And I say that because these were the things that they were unwilling to do in part one, right? We saw the tower in the reverse. We saw them unwilling to make these changes. We saw all of that in part one. I always leave the cards out so I can reference those back. I would say she is aware that they feel foolish. She's aware that they're in connection with their higher self enough to recognize the mistake that they made. But I think she's energetically saying, it's okay though. I mean, the fact that you never did make the changes that you would have needed to, and still aren't making the changes in order to be with someone like me, I can feel that you regret that. So thank you for letting me know that you wish you had chosen different. But now it's time to just let this one heal. You know, maybe you should be right where you are, and maybe you should find a way to choose to invest in the choice that you did make, because it doesn't look like you're actually willing to make those changes. So I think you should stay where you are and heal those connections. I personally am ready to call in a magician who can be my mate, who can be my match. I almost feel like that's more of the energy here. Hold on. We got the Empress sideways. She is operating all along. I've said the high priestess is the Empress, right? She is operating in her highest vibe, saying, I am someone's Empress, but darling, it's not you. But you know what? Maybe you're meant to have some different Empress, because you didn't choose me. And you still aren't. You just wish that you had. And wishes won't get you anywhere. It's weird though, because this person is like overwhelmed by this like panic of, oh my God, time is passing, and I lived somebody else's life, and I did what they told me to do. And she's like, well, you know, the thing is, you did make a choice though. You know, you did make that choice. 7 of Pentacles. And if anything, maybe now you can just count up what you've learned. You know, what have you grown? Because if you've developed a relationship elsewhere, then hey, I'm sure you've got something to fall back on. I just don't see her getting with them. I see her saying, I'm ready to meet my magical emperor here, because I'm a magical empress. But it just turns out I'm not yours. I'm sorry, but I really think that that's what this is. I think 7 of Cups and the Strength card. This keeps, the Empress / High Priestess keeps sending out the vibes of, listen, here's the beauty of life. There are many, many, many different avenues that we get to take, and the steps, the options that we choose to go with, we can choose to change again, but we have to have the strength to do that. And it seems like you always are stuck with the unknowing of what choice to make. And without the strength to confidently choose one thing or another, you're just going to stay on that 7 of Cups mode of confusion. And that's okay. That's okay, because that's how life is sometimes. But I just feel like the big message for this whole story, and it may not even be her thinking this stuff toward them, but rather this is the message. Every character has to have the courage to make a choice, because the only person going to live their life ultimately is them. We can say others influence someone's choice. Yeah, but ultimately, did they have to do this? If they really wanted to be with her, they could have. If they really wanted to be with her now, they could make those changes, but they are unwilling to do so. They are unwilling. They think it would be too much to backtrack on, too many things that they'd have to do. Then they'd have to go single for a while. They'd have to do things differently. And I feel like this is that energetic divergence. Let's go back to that Egyptian deck real quick. Let me get one piece of wisdom for this whole storytelling. We have got revival. Those who live today will die tomorrow. Those who die tomorrow will be born again. It's, again, what we were just saying, we all get choices to make. And at any moment in time, we can choose to reinvent ourselves. This isn't talking about literal death, obviously. It's talking about, we make a choice, and that's the person we're going to be today. But if tomorrow we choose to make a different choice, guess what? We can live that version of our lives instead. This person has never, quote unquote, run out of time. It is simply they have to be more aware that the choices they make, there's no point in getting sad and unhappy that I didn't choose to be with her. Great. Oh, now everything is so messed up. Because really, the truth of it is they're still not willing to make the change. So every day they're going to go ahead and they're going to keep making the same choice to stay right where they are. And she's kind of saying that's maybe where you belong, because you're not actually making the choice to make a change. So stay where you are and invest where you are, since you don't have what it takes to break away and come toward me. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and be with someone who really is the magician in the upright, who really is my magical emperor in the upright. So it's a little bit of she's more aware, I think, that our choices matter. Our choices are what defines what our tomorrow shall be. But what's beautiful is you can always change your tomorrow, but you got to have the courage to do it. I don't know that this character has what it takes to make those changes. And that's kind of the ultimate message of this. For better, for worse, at any given moment, this character could make changes, but it doesn't really look like they're going to in this particular storytelling. And she's not sad about it. That's the biggest message here. This high priestess is like, well, what is there to be sad about? It's just about making choices, and I've got those choices to make as well. So I'm going to leave that one there. I know, a little bit bittersweet. We've had a couple of these in a row where it's like, wow, things are not, no matter how much somebody says that they wish things were different, they aren't taking the actionable steps to make it different. And yet in that is a sense of relief, because it's like, well, all right, at least I have an answer now. At least we know where this isn't going to go. But I think this is a message of accountability. If I were going to just distill it down, it's a message of real accountability. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Sorry, I know this one wasn't super uplifting perhaps, but I felt like the message in it was like a thought-provoking one, we'll say. All right, thanks again for choosing to visit my channel. Bye.